Órale! Bienvenidos and welcome to the Familia FFB podcast. Mi amigo Josh is in the house. Oh, we're going to introduce him in a second, but Familia.
Hola.
Yes, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you, everybody. Muchas gracias for joining us. Really appreciate you tuning in. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you haven't already done so, please give us a like and subscribe. A little thumbs up. Mucho agradecido. We really be thankful. And want to tell you that today is one of my favorite dates of the year because it's September 21st. And one of my all-time favorite songs is September by Earth, Wind & Fire, because I'm going to ask you all, do you remember the 21st night of September? So any fans of the song, oh, you're just going to love yeah, go listen to the song. I'll give you Maria. So that's all I will give you on that one for now. But quick hello to some people. Muchas gracias, Dame Overboard. Thank you for saying hello. We're excited for this show too. J-Wall, go hit 2 home runs and say, hit a couple home runs tonight in your championship, in your playoff softball game, please, por favor.
He's in a playoff softball game? That's awesome.
Yes.
I just filled in for a softball team like a month ago and we played a doubleheader. I didn't think baseball was going to make me that sore, but I have never been so sore. I can't remember the last time I was that sore.
It's all that damn stopping and starting. It's all that stopping and starting and going full speed. It's just your legs are going to get, you play 2 games, your legs are going to hurt for 3 days. And it
catches up to you. I'm telling you, Jorge. I'm telling you.
Yep. That's why I let the young guys play. So that's why I'm going to as amigo Joey Wright likes to call him, crop top Moss. So, let him do that. I told him go Bo Jackson today, and we were going back and forth on that one.
You're bringing back memories again. It was so okay. I digress.
Oh my goodness. Otro good evening. Hello, Alberto. ¿Cómo estás, Albert?
Oh,
thank you,
Albert. Dame.
Good evening.
J-Wall. Let's go. The crew. We're back.
It's fine. It's because we are familia. And familia, before we get into our introduction, though we've already kind of gotten there, just want to make sure you are going to, when you go to fantasypoints.com, please make sure you put in the promo code 22 Familia 10. If you want to do it in Spanish, 22 Familia 10, you get you 10% off. So much great content that's going out there. I've learned so much from being in the Fantasy Points media group, just from being affiliated with these guys, using their content, kind of like trying to think like them, trying to think with Joe Dolan, John Hansen, Graham Barfield, Scott Barrett, Wes Huber, Tom Brawley. Just some of the great fantasy minds out there. I love to be affiliated with them. I love to have them the brains to pick. Oh, love it. So please make sure when you give a subscription, go to fantasypoints.com, 22 Familia 10. And, when I say todos somos familia, this is someone who is familia. Josh Fewster. I'm telling you, I've known him for more than a year. We both kind of got started in the fantasy industry about the same way, different ways. But I'm telling you, gosh, if I don't laugh a bunch of times tonight, it's going to be my fault.
I'm doing something wrong, I think. I don't know. You might want to blame me. I don't know, but I couldn't agree more, Jorge. I love you, man.
Oh, me too. Oh man. We had so many laughs in Canton, and just, oh God. And there are so many fun times that were shared in Canton that some of them actually made it out on Twitter, but, Familia, he recently joined the 33rd team, so they got better. And I want to tell you that whenever he's wearing a tank top, I want to hide my dad bod. So I want to make sure, my sleeves are covered and everything like that. Or I want to get back.
That's why I didn't wear a tank top. I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to make you feel left out or anything like that. So I got the sleeves on today.
Well, next time you wear sleeves, I'm back in the weight room right now. So let's see. Maybe I go tank top next time. So we'll see. But I want to say an official welcome, bienvenido to mi amigo Josh Fewster. Mi amigo, estás en tu casa. You are in your living room. Welcome.
Well, this is technically my bedroom, but I feel the love, I feel the family vibe, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And to your point, Jorge, thank you for introducing me the 33rd team. I'm loving working with the 33rd team. I really do have the pleasure of working with some awesome football minds over there, both in the fantasy football world and just the NFL in general. At the end, I mean, at the top end of the 33rd team, there are probably a few dozen past like players, coaches, and executives from actually the NFL. Now, I'm not actually really working with them directly, but it's still very cool to just be part of this company. And I've really enjoyed making these videos, writing a few articles for the 33rd the past couple of weeks. Check them out. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Fewster. That's me. Most of my videos should be posted there, and most of them are just short, quick hitting content, but I think you get a little bit of my personality, some good information in a very short period of time. Check them out.
Oh yes, definitely. And he just hit 2K followers on Twitter, so keep him pumping. So if you're following me, you're probably following him too. So everybody keep coming.
And if you're following me, same. Gotta share the love.
Oh my goodness, me amigo. I mean, I gotta say, just hanging out in Canton. I mean, I think we just kind of like locked up the first night right off the bat, and just kept reconnecting over the weekend. What were some of your highlights of that weekend? I mean, that we can remember and retell in family.
Oh, that I can remember. Okay, I got to remember it first of all. But so the first day I got there, I was going and I was trying to make it to a poker tournament, and I knew I was going to be like right on the borderline of being able to make it. I was driving from Maryland to Canton, Ohio. It's about a 6.5 hour drive. And I got there right on time, blah, blah, blah. I did pretty well in the poker tournament, but the highlight from it was I won an auction that they had during the tournament. I won a signed Jonathan Taylor jersey, and that started the weekend off real well. So you thought I was just a friendly guy. I was just still high off of winning the jersey. That's why I was smiling the whole time, But I had such a good time in Canton, Jorge. Seriously, so much fun this year, getting to meet you and so many other people that I've developed relationships with over the past few years, but didn't actually meet them in person. It was just so freaking cool to actually meet them in person for the first time for a lot of these guys. Now I actually went to Canton 2 years ago. And while I had fun 2 years ago, this past August, it was just really nice. There was something different about it. And it kind of felt like, I don't know, I belong there more. I don't know if that makes sense. But every time I saw you, Jorge, it was just a pleasure. You had a big old smile on your face like you always do when we're streaming. And I really just loved hanging out in person and just talking about life. And that's the highlight.
It really was. It really was. I mean, J-Wall coming on, I got to hang out with him so much, and just J-Wall had this thing. It's like, I want to take a picture with you every day. So it's just like,
did you do it?
Oh yeah, we absolutely did.
That's awesome.
And every time we were hanging out, we were just like, we got to take a selfie right now. But I mean, just really,
J-Wall's such a cool dude.
Oh man, and to be able to reinforce so many relationships and friendships, and the friendships, some business relationships, it's just so special. And I think it really helped kick things off for the fantasy season so much. Just a really, really special time. I mean, getting to sing Sweet Caroline on Sunday night.
The karaoke night was so much fun. And you know what? You didn't leave early. You were one of the last people that left. But I and the couple of guys I was rooming with were literally the last people from the fantasy football convention that were still there. And I don't know what happened once everyone left and it was just the locals, but they had some amazing singers. Like, I'm talking about literal, should be on American Idol type of talent singing at the bar. I'm not just saying this because I was drinking a few drinks. I'm not just saying it. They were amazing. I think one guy was on America's Got Talent. Someone was telling me, but I don't know where they got these people, because it's like a little dive bar in the middle, Canton, Ohio. It's not, but that was a really good time.
Oh, what a great time. Just such a great time. Yeah. I'm happy to have been home. Happy to now be recovered from the virus that hit me right after that, but it's all good. It's all good. We're fine.
Quite a few people got it. Simon got it. I lucked out. It missed me.
Oh, you definitely got lucky. I mean, it was more pain in the butt than anything, but oh man, but no, it was good times. And we're going to have some more, and so far, how's the season treated you, the beginning of the first couple of weeks?
So I'm a Ravens fan. So as a Ravens fan, it's been interesting. Roller coaster is a good way to put it. We beat up on the Jets. It was a close first half against the Jets, but then we just took over. And then this past weekend against the Dolphins. The entire game from the very first kickoff when we returned it for a touchdown, I was like, let's go. We're winning this game. Easy game. We were winning freaking, 35-14 in the fourth quarter. And they ended up losing the game. It's disappointing. I think the Dolphins have a pretty good squad themselves. I think they'll bounce back pretty well next week against the Patriots.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a great game. That's going to be a really good game, really fun game. Some guys that we're going to talk about in that game.
And for fantasy, real fast, loving fantasy. I'm doing really well in fantasy. I do have one league where I'm 0-4, and that's because you get 2 wins or a win and a tie every week. But other than that, I'm winning in every league I'm in.
I'm doing well. I'm at least 1-1 in all but one league, and that the one league is an experts league in Mexico where I'm just nobody's doing well for me, and I got injuries already off the bat. So Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, please get hot and save me.
I mean, if we just look at last season, I mean, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Both of them got hot at the end, and that's why they were drafted so high. And I think we could see something similar again this year.
Yeah. But, I'm sorry, Mr. Scampers.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about this.
The secondary looks bad. It looked bad. It looked real bad. I've got excuses for them, though. Yeah, we'll get into it in a minute.
We'll get into it. Well, let's kind of get into the show a little bit. You know, we got the chisme section, which is chisme is Spanish for gossip. So figure the news. First off, I mean, just kind of like the Justin Herbert injury status. Daniel Popper from The Athletic said he's dated, got quoted Brandon Staley as he's being day-to-day. Herbert did some throwing, rotational work, whatever that means, which I think we saw a little bit. How do you think Justin Herbert owners should be feeling right now?
When it comes down to it, I don't think any NFL player goes through the entire season without sustaining some sort of injury. We kind of expect this more or less. It doesn't seem like it's going to be serious for Justin Herbert. I know he's limited in practice, but he's practicing, right? He's going to wear something to protect those ribs. He's just an elite quarterback. So when it comes down to fantasy, I don't love hearing it, right? But is it changing my decision to start Justin Herbert or not? No, he's in my lineup. I don't think there's many leagues where you have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. So yeah, I'm starting Justin Herbert in pretty much every league.
I agree. And actually, I saw a tweet from a friend of the show, Gilbert Manzano of the LA Daily News and the OC Register, talking about how he covered the Chargers. Now he covers the Rams. Mm-hmm. And they asked Matthew Stafford about Herbert, and he said that he watched it and he just became a fan for those few minutes, and just and was just like, his wife had even said, "Oh, they got to pull him out of the game." And he's like, "No, he's not coming out. He's just got he." And coming from someone like him, who you have to pull him off the field, that's that. I do feel. I mean, it's one of those things. You drafted Justin Herbert early. If he's playing, you're starting him. I'm checking the waiver wire just to have someone just in case there's a last minute. I would hope that you got a backup plan just in case, because I don't want to be caught. And definitely, hopefully he doesn't have to get a shot.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm willing to take the gamble. I'm not going to cut someone good just in case, because I think he's going to end up playing. If there's a stud quarterback on your waiver wire that you think is going to have a great week, pick him up. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. And if you have a guy that you're kind of borderline whether you got to keep on your team or not, great. But it really bugs me holding 2 quarterbacks on my fantasy team. So I'm willing to take the gamble. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good one. Well, speaking of gambles, J.K. Dobbins, your hometown Ravens.
Yep.
They kind of went in. They did not boost the running back room a lot, probably with the idea that he was going to be ready, and he's now not been ready. Return to practice. How are you kind of feeling about the possibility of him playing this week?
I feel pretty good about it. I heard rumors that there was a decent chance he could have suited up last week. They're playing it cautious with him. And because they're playing it so cautious, I think they could wait another week. But at the same time, the Ravens need him. Kenyon Drake, Mike Davis, Justice Hill, they are just not getting the job done. Now, the offensive line, the whole running game in general looks like it might have some holes. But J.K. Dobbins is by far and away the most talented running back on the Ravens roster right now. And once he gets in the lineup, he's gonna improve things. So I think it's likely that he plays this week, but at the same time, I could see him sitting simply because the Ravens have been playing it safe up until now. So,
any worries about? I mean, yes, him playing, but maybe having. They talk about pitch count, snap count, not getting a full workload right off the bat, similar to kind of like what Saquon Barkley got last year, as he was kind of like half of the snaps early. Concerns about that?
Absolutely. I mean, regardless, the Ravens, even if J.K. Dobbins was fully healthy, he wouldn't be getting the whole work. Well, no running back in the NFL gets the whole workload, but J.K. Dobbins is, when Gus Edwards is healthy, Gus Edwards is going to get some carries himself. He was put on the PUP, so he's going to miss at least 4 weeks. His injury is taking a little bit longer than J.K. Dobbins, obviously, but this is a great team that look. I just think back to the 2019 season. I know that was Lamar Jackson's MVP year, but we had Mark Ingram, who was an awesome running back that year when he was playing. J.K. Dobbins broke out as a rookie. He didn't start playing until the end of the season, but he was just fantastic. He had the most yards per carry in the entire NFL, given running backs with at least 100 carries or something like that. But J.K. Dobbins looked fantastic last time we saw him on the field, and while the offensive line's a little bit more of a concern than it was then, I think he's going to be a good runner. I think he's going to be a solid running back too for fantasy teams out there.
I'd love to have him.
Not this week. Sorry, not this week. This week, I would be concerned starting him. He's a desperation start if he's playing.
Yeah. And hopefully, please, Familia, if you've been listening, if he's not the guy, he's your second. He would have been your second running back, not the hero guy. So you don't want him to be the number one guy, because right now it'd be tough. Quick welcome into amigo of the show, Craig Reeves.
Let's
Craig,
go.
Hola, Craig, and
How's it going, Craig?
Giving a shout out to Mr. Scampers and Dame Albert.
Everybody, everyone.
Everybody's in the house. Everybody's in the house. Love it. It's party time. Well, I should have grouped this one with Justin Herbert, but Keenan Allen return to practice limited. Hamstrings can take 1 to 2 weeks, according to Dr. Edwin Porras. Obviously, he wasn't going to play last week on the short schedule. We had this. It wasn't last year. It was the year before, where he said he was playing and then had a hammy and then only played a quarter. Memories of that one?
I also it makes me think of, and this is an old one. I don't know why I remember this one, but I believe it was Roddy White for the Falcons back in the day, and he was playing. They said he was playing, and then he came out like the day after because so many people gave him crap because he didn't play that many snaps. He's like, if I'm not playing in practice, don't play me in fantasy. Just realize that. So that's always stuck out in my mind. So when it comes down to it, if Keenan Allen ends up practicing, I'll start him. He's that good of a wide receiver. He's paired with Justin Herbert. Now I know has an injury himself, but if Keenan Allen's playing and he had some practice, even if he doesn't practice, it's going to be tough not starting him just because I know how talented he is. But if I had even a decent option, I would keep Keenan Allen on my bench.
And it's a home game. The Jaguars, even though they're coming off the shutout of the Colts, I'm still not all the way sold on that defense. But I was at the opener, and he just looked like he was open he was 7-11. He was open all night, and he just was on his way to having probably like 150-yard game when he came out of the game at halftime. So I want him. Now, another guy I want in my lineup that also sat out last week, Michael Pittman, also returned to practice today. Frank Reich.
You need to start Michael Pittman. You need to start Michael Pittman.
That was a big reason why the Colts scored 0 points last week.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's obvious that he's incredibly important to this offense. I don't, like you said, I'm not fully bought into the Jaguars just having that stout of a defense. So I just look at the team. There really aren't that many wide receiver weapons, or just receiving weapons in general outside of Michael Pittman. That's why so many people were getting very hyped on Nyheim Hines coming into this week, because he's a good receiving weapon. So Michael, he's going to be one of the most targeted wide receivers in the NFL this season. I love him. I love the guy's talent. I'm starting him in fantasy leagues this week.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I had to sit him on a couple of teams last week, and it really hurt. One of them was a really deep team, 20-team league. So that one, that one was painful to sit him in that one. But he's just so talented that, actually I had to, Scott Fishbowl team, I had to sit him on that one too. But,
well, good job sitting him because, he wasn't playing. So,
Oh man, but no, I'm looking forward to having him start this week. I'm looking for, and you know what? If that happens, I'm gonna be flexing like crazy when it comes to.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Well, I had Michael Pittman as a top 10 wide receiver coming into the season, so I was very high on him, and nothing's changed. Let's just put it that way.
Oh man. Okay. Is Aurora the common greeting, Craig, or is it just a general huff?
Great.
Oh, this is why I love having so many amigos on this show, because it's just awesome. And then I just end up laughing, making a great time. So let's kind of get into a couple games that were coming up. Staying in the AFC North, two teams you're pretty familiar with: the 1-1 Pittsburgh Steelers against the 1-1 Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 4.5-point favorites. It's a low over under 38.5. Wind could be an issue, so that it's going to be expected to be up to 19-mile-an-hour winds, which sometimes can get in the way of passes. But on the Pittsburgh side, it hasn't been pretty. I mean, I'm sure it's been fun for you as a Ravens fan, but it hasn't been pretty. But from a fantasy standpoint, Najee running behind that rough offensive line with kind of like hobbled by the foot. He looked okay, but you're starting him, but what's the confidence level?
Not very high. I mean, he just simply has not looked great so far this season. The yards per carry is incredibly low, but the reason we drafted him, or people were ranking him so I don't want to act like I'm not going to act like I'm winning a take here, but I was lower on Najee Harris coming into the season simply because we kind of knew the offensive line wasn't good. It wasn't good last year. Najee thrived on high target volume from Ben Roethlisberger because Ben Roethlisberger's arm was shot, and it was like, who's open really fast? Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Pat Fryermuth once in a while. So the confidence level's low, but like you said, you have to start him. He's going to be a starter for your fantasy team. There's no doubt about it, simply because of the volume. I mean, he's getting the touches, he's getting the targets. I'm going to start him.
Absolutely. I mean, you're definitely starting him. He's not getting as many. He's not getting the number of work in the passing game. He looked, I don't know, maybe I was looking at him a little too closely, looking for something wrong. He didn't have like the same burst. So, but it's that line. And that was one of the things I asked my Steelers insider, and he just said, yeah, don't worry as much about the foot, worry about that O line. And it's a rough group. And that's a big reason why Deontay Johnson is leading the team with 22 targets right now, because he's getting kind of like, they're not taking any deep shots to George Pickens. They're, short and intermediate shots to Deontay Johnson. He's a start. I don't know if we talked about, I just mentioned Pickens. I don't know if Chase Claypool is a start either. Unless you're in a really deep league, hoping that he gets a lot of work in the slot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cutting. I'm willing to cut George Pickens, to be honest with you. The offensive line problems. I don't trust Trubisky when it comes down to it either. The only receiver I really trust is Deontay Johnson. Now, Pat Fryermuth as a tight end, he's looked fantastic. He's getting a lot of targets, and when you're getting this many targets like Pat Fryermuth's getting at the tight end position, you're going to be a tight end one, and you're going to be a starter. Deontay Johnson, double-digit targets the first 2 weeks. He's averaging 11 targets. You're right. The yards aren't there because he's getting a lot of quick passes, but he looks really good. He looks like an elite wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's the most talented wide receiver on the team. And I don't want to trust the second, third, fourth options on a poor passing attack. So Deontay Johnson, keep him in your lineup. Najee Harris, keep him in your lineup. Chase Claypool, I can't get very excited about him, but I'm trying not to cut him. I'm willing to cut George Pickens. Seriously.
That one hurts. to me, I'm trying to everything to do to not cut those rookie wide receivers, especially the talented ones. But I get it. I just dropped Romeo Dobbs, but I picked up Garrett Wilson. So,
don't blame you there. Garrett Wilson's the real deal, man.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that he was available, but I look at these guys. They're guys that I want to keep an eye on, and especially if somehow things start to click with Kenny Pickett, at some point down the season. So. You mentioned Pat Freiermuth, he's number 2 in targets on this team, 17 targets. I think he is a guy to kind of fire up in those leagues where you're just, where you need the tight end, because it's been barren out there. I mean, oh man. And Mr. Scampers, Jeff Wilson and Curtis Samuel over Najee, you are an animal. You're literally.
we had a little discussion about Jeff Wilson. We might be getting into it in a little bit. I know prior, but that's ballsy. That's ballsy. Yeah. That's all I'll say, Mr. Scampers. That's ballsy.
We're definitely going to talk about that one. So on the Cleveland side, what do we make of this team? I mean, you talked about what happened with the Ravens. This team, the Browns had a similar letdown, got a loss stolen, a victory stolen from them with a last minute touchdown from the Jets, 31-30 in the dog pound. This one's back in the dog pound. Are we? I mean, the one guy I'm firing up with, the guys that I'm firing up with complete confidence are Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, because it really looks like they're running running the entire offense through the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, what happened in week 2 of the NFL season? I don't know what was in the water with these teams or what was going on, but this was even crazier than the Ravens game almost, because I read somewhere, I think the Browns had a 99.9% chance of winning that game at one point. And I was watching Red Zone when I was watching on Sunday, and the onside kick happened. I was so happy because, of course, I'm rooting against the Browns. But man, that was a bad loss for them. I was, like I said, kind of happy to see it, but that looked bad. I mean, this offense, you're right. It's going to go through the running game. Jacoby Brissett, he's a game manager. That's all he is. You're not going to start him in fantasy football. And that's part of the reason why his weapons, Amari Cooper, like, he'll have good games. He'll be okay. He'll get targets, but you're not going to be able to rely on him week in and week out. And it's because of Jacoby Brissett. He never really supported wide receivers back when he was with the Colts. He never really supported wide receivers when he was in the Dolphins. So it just, I don't love the passing attack, but Nick Chubb, I love Nick Chubb. I've said it quite a few times. I think he's the best pure running back in the NFL. And what I mean by that is put the ball in his chest and let him run. He's the guy I'm choosing to do that. All right. He's the guy out of anyone else. I'm not saying he's the best pass catcher. I'm not saying he's the best blocker, blah, 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 blah. But put the ball in the guy's chest and let him run. Nick Chubb is the best at that. Kareem Hunt, on the other hand, for fantasy, I've always been a little bit lower on him. I am just never a big fan of the 1B or the second running back on the team. It's burned me. It's burned me for years now. Don't get me right. Like, Kareem Hunt has been fantastic as the 1B on the Browns. He's he's getting more pass targets. But if you have either one of those guys, you're starting him. Nick Chubb as a running back 1. I think he will be a running back 1 at the end of the season. Kareem Hunt, if he stays healthy, he'll probably be a running back 2.
Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, he catches so many passes that right now he's the RB10 on the season. I mean, obviously it's early after 2 weeks, but no, I look at him and I have him on a couple of teams as like my RB2 or my flex play, and I'm happy to have him just because he gets kind of like that Austin Eckler type of work, and just gets so much out of his efficiency. So I love him. I love them both. The running game, it's not dead, people. It's not dead, Familia. So and Mr. Scampers, you want to know how week 2 was so wild? My Familia, we did a survivor pool. Everybody's dead.
Everyone?
I was one of there were 3 left after 1 week. After 1 week, I think we had a dozen people in. And
would you choose the Colts?
No, I had the Browns.
They were probably a popular pick if I had to guess.
I had the Browns, and the other 2 and the final 3 were the Bengals. So,
okay.
so I was kind of, so I had to, I'm kicking rocks after this thing. Oh yeah, the Bengals are going to win easy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, they lost. So that was a trip,
man. It
that
was
was
a crazy week. It was a crazy week.
And we're going to have more craziness. So I don't know if there's going to be more crazy expected, because, you know, of course this game will be like 10-7. But Bills to the battle of the undefeateds already. Bills at the Dolphins, AFC West showdown. The Bills are 5.5-point road favorites, which always worries me. I always hate road betting on the possibility of betting on road favorites when the point spread is over 3 points, and it's a 52.5 over under. It's 87 degrees with some humidity, no rain in the forecast. Mi hermano, can Josh Allen be stopped? Because I feel like he's got a big S under his jersey, and he pulls it out at game time, and it's you don't see him take it off until later.
I mean, can Josh? By the Dolphins? Did you see what their defense was doing against the Ravens this past week? I mean, I actually think the Dolphins have a better defense than they showed in week 2 against the Ravens. But no, I'm not calling Josh Allen being stopped. I mean, he's been the quarterback one the past 2 years, and guess who's the quarterback one so far this season through 2 weeks? So it's Josh Allen. Who would have guessed? That's crazy, right? So no, he can't be stopped. Simply put.
He really can't, and Stephon Diggs can't be stopped. He's the wide receiver 1 already. He's got 270 yards, 4 touchdowns, 20 receptions on 23 targets. I mean, he's doing everything for your fantasy team. He's just to me the big question is Gabe Davis. We didn't talk about him. I came back with a limited practice. I didn't mention him in Cheeseman because I knew we'd talk about him. No one really stepped up with him out. It was, you know, I got some questions on Sunday morning, you know, who's going to step up if Gabe Davis is out, and it was just like everything went back to Stephon Diggs, and he was a monster. But I look at this one. The strength for Miami is their secondary. So this one's going to be iron against iron. That's going to be fun to watch. The running game there's talk of, you know,
what running game?
Yeah, the run. Exactly. No one's gotten more than 53 yards rushing in any game. And that was, you know, James Cook and, you know, kind of cleaning up in garbage time. And Miami's the team that you can run on them. But I don't see anybody, you know, being a significant part of this running game because of the fact that Buffalo is so good. On the other side, you know, Tua has arrived. How much I mean, I know it was rough, but
you remember tank for Tua, right? I mean,
exactly.
I think everyone forgot about that for a second there. And I think this past weekend reminded everyone why they were tanking for Tua.
it was the first time it looked like he was Alabama Tua, and yeah, I mean, it was. We talked about the Baltimore secondary, and Mr. Scampers kind of touched on it. You know, when it comes to is it a return to health? I mean, what's your assessment on this one? Kind of coming off the big game against the Baltimore D.
So the Baltimore secondary looked bad last week. Not gonna try to cover that up, but I'm going to make excuses. I'm going to make excuses for them. A lot of those big plays, neither Marlon Humphrey or Marcus Peters were on the field. Those are our starting 2 cornerbacks. Marlon Humphrey, he's been good this season. Marcus Peters, this was actually his first game back, and he was in and out of the game. This was his first game back. So he's still getting his feet underneath of him. And then there were rookies on the field otherwise. Kyle Pitts, who I love. I think he's going to be one of the best safeties in the league in a couple of years. But and then Marcus Williams, our new safety we just signed up the offseason, gave a giant contract. He had a couple interceptions. He could have had 3 interceptions. And I would say the rookie cornerbacks look good up until the end of the game where, you know, just big play after big play was just being lit up against them. So I don't think the Ravens secondary is as bad as last year. And I don't think week 2 was a good representation of what they're going to do going forward in the season. So don't be thinking that the Ravens are going to be the easiest pass defense to go against for opposing offenses going forward. That's all I'm saying.
And you know what? And a lot of times people, teams do get healthier and get better as the season progresses. And, you know, and it does take time because, you know, Peters, as you said, only a year out. Edwin Porras definitely points out it's like 12 months when he really feels like that guys are coming back at 9, but he said 12 months sometimes as many 15 months is how long it takes. Oh, by the way, Mr. Scampers did where is that one? He mentioned, I think Kyle Pitts was mentioned, and I think it was supposed to be Kyle Hamilton. So Mr. Scampers is watching.
Oh, did I say Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, you did. Oh. You did. It's all good. It's all good.
I meant Kyle Hamilton. I did a video on Kyle Pitts earlier today, actually, so he might be on my mind.
Well, he's definitely going to be on the mind that we're going to be talking about in a second. But yeah, and you know what? I'm a big believer in remember Animal House, where he goes, the Germans bomb Pearl, was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor and let him go, he's rolling? I'm a big fan of let him go, he's rolling. So
I love it.
Keep going. And Craig, I've got him in, so I don't have him in so many leagues, but where I do have him, he's I try and have him in super flex as my second quarterback in super flex league. So Tua being
that's like the only places I have him as my second quarterback in super flex leagues. I don't really have him in any one quarterback leagues just because he just wasn't a top 12 quarterback for me coming into the season. I changed my mind a little bit, but I still don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. So I don't know if that's surprising. I think he'll probably be a borderline top 10 quarterback when it's all said and done.
I agree. I think his numbers will be there. I mean, that you throw for almost 500 yards in 1 week. That's gonna elevate your numbers. I definitely. I mean, he might be borderline top 12. But yeah, that's the thing.
Exactly.
That's
borderline
the thing.
top
12. Who are you gonna start in front? I mean, he was kind of like in that 15-16 range, because you're not.
Yeah.
You had Tom Brady. You had Tom Brady, Trey Lance, and Aaron Rodgers there in the 10 to 12 range that all had a lot of sexiness to them, various degrees. But yeah, Trey Lance, I've already talked with him with Pat Fitzmaurice, so we don't need to belabor that one anymore. So I want to get into the Adentro y Afuera section of who's in, who we out on. You talked about CeeDee Lamb, and I'd love your thoughts on why you love him this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, the CeeDee Lamb, we all know he lost Dak Prescott after week 1, but he actually ended up he looked really good with Cooper Rush on the ball last week. Cooper Rush, it's a little bit surprising. And CeeDee Lamb, he's had 11 targets each of the past 2 weeks, 11 targets each of the past 2 weeks. That's the 9th most targets at the wide receiver position so far this season. So I don't know. That's with Dak Prescott. That's with Cooper Rush. So regardless, he's going to be a highly targeted wide receiver. And if he's getting double-digit targets every week, there's no way he's not going to end up being at least a top 20 wide receiver at the end of the season. So going into this week, I am starting CeeDee Lamb with a lot of confidence still. I know he hasn't gotten into the end zone yet this year, but last week was a good week, like I just mentioned. And if he can get into the end zone, he's got the upside to be a top 10 wide receiver. So I like CeeDee Lamb a lot this week. I'm keeping him in my lineup. Don't bench CeeDee Lamb.
Don't bench CeeDee Lamb. No, please don't bench CeeDee Lamb. Cooper Rush kind of surprised me. I thought he was better. He was more poised, and he had good arm strength. He threw a pretty ball. I mean, obviously, yeah, very impressive. And the Giants, their secondary hasn't been all that great of late. So in these first 2 games, so why not? I'm with you on that one. The next one also, we differ on this one. So I'm gonna. Why do you love Jeff Wilson?
Well, so when it comes down to it,
you and Mr. Scampers, by the way. Yeah.
I don't want to say, so I guess I do love Jeff Wilson. I'm just like looking at other people's rankings. I've been doing that all throughout the day, and it just seems like he's so low. I am very confident that he is going to be the starting running back and get close to 20 carries this week for the 49ers, who I have a ton of trust in their running game. I mean, Kyle Shanahan and his zone running scheme is just one of the best in the NFL. They can plug any running back there, it seems, and he's going to be a good fantasy option. Now, Jeff Wilson, do I wish he was a little bit more involved in the passing game? Sure, but I mean, 4 targets, 4 catches over the first 2 weeks, that's not too bad. Denver's defense doesn't necessarily scare me that much. They've played some pretty I know they're highly ranked in terms of defenses so far, but they've played some pretty easy running games, in my opinion, the first 2 weeks. So I'm starting Jeff Wilson with a lot of confidence. I don't know if I could play him over Najee Harris, but I'm making sure he's in my lineup if I have him on my fantasy team.
Yeah, the one thing I'm worried about is yes, the Denver defense. I would feel more comfortable starting Jeff Wilson if this game were in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I know the interior of their offensive line is still rebuilding. I know Shanahan knows how to scheme up a running game. I just worry that so I've got him on my Afuera section. So we don't need to talk about him. But yeah. I just worry about when it comes to him. Does he become exposed a little bit because the line isn't that great and Denver's got that extreme home field advantage, though they needed every bit of it against the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
But I look at that one and it's that one's going to be that one's a tough one. I actually had to search for guys that I didn't like this week because I think there were very few guys that was tough. So this one was kind of borderline one for me. So on putting him there.
I just want to reiterate, it's not because I think he's going to be a top 12 running back this week. I just see where he's ranked, and he's ranked in the 30s for a lot of people at the running back position. And for me, I just would have him more in the early 20s.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm high
on him.
You mentioned doing a video on Kyle Pitts, and you had him in this area. Is the breakout coming? Can you give me a little preview of the video that you did?
So
we can hold hands across the country right now. We can hold hands on this.
I'm not trying to victory lap. I already did this once earlier. I was not high on Kyle Pitts coming into the season. I was not high on Kyle Pitts, but I understood why people were drafting him in the 3rd and 4th round. It made a lot of sense. Like, a 1,000-yard tight end in his rookie year, not scoring any touchdowns. So the upside was there, but obviously there was concerns because Matt Ryan was no longer there. It's Marcus Mariota. What can Marcus Mariota do? And I know the coach, Arthur Smith, he came out. He's like, we're trying to win games. We're not playing fantasy here. It's like, well, you've lost most of your first games. What the hell are you talking about, man? Like, get the ball in the best offensive weapon's hands to win the game, right? So I think that he's gotten so much backlash because of all this that he is going to make sure Kyle Pitts gets some targets this week. So I'm not even considering him benching him this week. Kyle Pitts is in my lineup. He's still a top 5 tight end for me this week.
Yeah, I've actually got a lineup with him and Pat Freiermuth. I just grabbed Freiermuth because I liked him at the spot that he was in, and I'm not going to start him. I might start both. I'll probably start both because I think
I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Which is very impressive. And a lot of what I was saying last year, I said this constantly last year. If Kyle Pitts wasn't so highly hyped and highly drafted and everyone fell in love with him, people would have been talking about Pat Freiermuth as a rookie last year, having the season he did a lot more, but he was kind of under the radar because Kyle Pitts, generational Kyle Pitts. So I like both of those options. I know this isn't a Pat Freiermuth conversation, but I like him as well.
and also, this is a few minutes ago, but Alexander any Hamilton reference on here. My name is Alexander Hamilton. So
I grew up with the guy Randy Hamilton. He was a cool dude.
Love it. Yeah, we'll call him Alexander for the purposes of this, but
Alexander.
So one quarterback that and you can I put Mac Jones as a quarterback that because of the fact that the Baltimore secondary is still nursing its back to health. It's a home game. Tell me I'm wrong because I had to actually search for a kind of like a middle of the road quarterback that I like this week because of and I like the home game. But I'm still a little worried about the play calling from.
Do I like Mac Jones more than where I'm seeing him typically being ranked when it comes down to it. So while I am high on Mac Jones in a 1 quarterback league, it's going to be difficult for me to start it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the other options available. I'm still starting the Tom Brady's and Aaron Rodgers of the world over Mac Jones. I'm I'm gonna start Jared Goff over Mac Jones. And that's where we're getting into the Mac Jones territory, where I'm like, after Jared Goff, I might actually consider starting Mac Jones. So yeah, I agree with you, Jorge. I am higher on him than most people out there in super flex and 2 quarterback leagues. Throw him in there. Throw him in as your second quarterback. But in a 1 quarterback league, it's gonna be tough for me to start him.
Yeah, I had already put Jared Goff on I had a tweet thread earlier this week. Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I had a tweet thread on, guys that I recommended picking up a waiver wire, and I think Goff goes off this week. So I think that this is it's going against Minnesota. Both teams secondaries are a little bit, are a little worn out, and I think I think that game has track meet written all over it. So I'm going to look at that one very much.
The weapons are legit that he has. Amon-Ra St. Brown, that connection's real. DeAndre Swift is awesome. TJ Hawkinson's a really good tight end. I know he hasn't really showed up yet this year, but I think he'll have some good games in there. And then just wait until Jamison Williams gets put into this fold. It's going to, for the Detroit Lions, it will be kind of an electric offense, I'd say.
Oh man. Well, yes, Dameon. They definitely did look gross last weekend.
Yeah.
By the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I know you're a big ARSB fan, Dame Overboard. So yes, and I don't think a show can go by without talking, because I got him all over the place. Another guy I talked about.
That's one guy I missed on this year, by the way.
Ooh, really?
I have him in 1 dynasty league, and I'm in 20 leagues. So I did not draft him in redraft this year. I missed out.
I got lucky on him on multiple teams, and luckily coincidentally those teams are all 2-0. So
cool. I wonder why.
I wonder why. I know it's like one of them has Mahomes, Diggs, and the Sun God. So it's just like, what else do I need?
Congrats on your championship.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fantasy points league with some, that like all the people I named earlier, they're all in the league too. So it's just like I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I feel like the beginner's awesome. Luck guy. Yeah, that's a good league to do well in.
That's what I'm talking about.
A couple running backs. I'm liking their matchups this week. Derrick Henry, home game against Las Vegas. I feel like it's a get right game, and Dameon Pierce, it's an at Chicago game. I like the matchups on both of these games. Henry hasn't really had that bust out game. The Raiders, that defense, just not. I just don't like that defense this year. Potential smash spot.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to it, the Titans' whole offense has looked a little down, right? To say the least, I don't think the offensive line is necessarily great, but if the Titans want to win games this year, and remember, they won the AFC last year. They were the best team in the AFC during the regular season without Derrick Henry the majority, like half the year. So I think they know they got to get Derrick Henry involved. They got to get their best guy on offense involved. Last week, he simply wasn't. Only 13 carries, 25 yards. He did score a touchdown, thank God, but I think this is the week he eats. I think that I don't think the wheels have come out from underneath of him yet. I still think he's got some juice, and I completely agree. I think it goes off this week at home against.
Yeah, I think it goes off. It's the one thing I'm worried about is just kind of sustaining it for the entire season. But I look at him and I just think, this is going to be a big week for him. And I think we saw kind of the return or more integration into the offense of Dameon Pierce, who is everybody who watches the show and listens, you guys know my adoration, my adulation for the kid. He got 15 carries last week. Rex Burkhead got 0. Chicago just got run over by Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, so I'm feeling good about firing him up this week.
You got to love seeing the 15 carries compared to, it looked like in week 1, Rex Burkhead was the main running back for this team. But now it looks like it's Dameon Pierce's job, and that's what we kind of expected coming into the season. But got to keep in mind, this is the Texans who, don't have the best offense in the world. I don't think they're going to be a ton of scoring opportunities compared to other teams. So that's the only hesitancy I have with him. But, I know where you drafted him if you have Dameon Pierce on your team. you're probably starting him, especially if you drafted late. Maybe you got him as a steal earlier, but I love Dameon Pierce coming into the NFL. He was criminally underused when he was at Florida. It's ridiculous. And I know the coach got fired at Florida, so maybe there was something going on there with the coach and everything. They just weren't a good team, but yeah, he was done dirty when he was in college, and he's a good running back.
You know what? It's more, they save bullets for the NFL, which I'll take that. Maybe they saved him a couple hundred carries that he could use in the NFL to, fresher legs. I want to see it. I've got him all over the place. I drafted him way earlier in the rounds. As we got closer to the season in July, I got him way late, and I'm so happy to get him. But no, I'm really looking forward to him. And by the way, Craig Jamison Crowder.
Craig, you would. Craig's a huge Jamison Crowder fan. I don't think he's serious. I think you could put anyone there, and it's going to be Jamison Crowder over him. Yeah, Jamison Crowder over Jamar Chase. Craig would say something like that.
At least right now. Jameson Williams is on the sideline. I want to see it. I still think that offense is going to run through the sun god, but
I agree.
It'll be very interesting to see what that offense does when he comes in to kind of give them a little more vertical passing game. A couple of one last receiver I want to talk about is Adam Thielen, and they've given the Lions. It's a game. It's a home game. It's going to be a get right game. He's been getting some targets. He got 7 targets last week. He being Thielen. And the Lions have given up some yards to the wide receivers in the last couple of weeks, and that's why I think Justin Jefferson is going to get his, but I think this game's going to shoot, and I think there's going to be some work for Thielen in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Adam Thielen will get fed more this week. We had Justin Jefferson. He had the big blowout week in week 1, and he kind of disappeared a little bit last week. But I think Irv Smith was a lot more involved, right? So, Irv Smith had his big game. Now, is it Adam Thielen's turn? I'm sure. Yeah, I think it is. If I have Adam Thielen, if I draft Adam Thielen, I'm trying to get in my lineup for this week. If you're not starting him here, I don't know when you're starting him. I guess maybe you're waiting for him to break out and actually look really good. But I think this is the week he gets into the end zone.
I think you're definitely starting him in a flex position. So he's gonna be a good. I think he's definitely a big play this week. So you want to get him in there. Dame Overboard had an interesting question before we get into the Afuera guys. We got if you guys have time for it, I have Adams, ARSB, Waddle, Hollywood, AJB.
Holy crap!
I hope this is like flex only leagues. Wow. You can only start 5. Okay, so you can only start 5. Okay, well, let's see. Who are the 5 we're starting out of this group? Adams and St. Brown and Waddle and AJB. That's 4. And Pittman.
AJ Brown and Pittman. Those are the 5. Those are the 5 that I feel most confident in. So it's the odd man out would be Hollywood Brown, Drake London, and Jahan Dotson. Who, honestly, I like all these guys. For Hollywood Brown, I think he has slightly underperformed so far this season, so I think you'd be selling a little bit low on him. If you can get a little, if you compare Jahan Dotson with, maybe one of your other running backs and upgrade that running back position, that's something I would love to do, because I think Jahan Dotson will have a good season, but not, when you have these wide receivers, I don't think he's going to be in your lineup very often. And I do like Drake London. I think he's a trade for candidate, but if you can get a bag for him, I'm all about that as well.
Yeah, I look at this one. I think it's one of the rookies. You can kind of cash in on the rookie hype. Golly jeepers, man! This is she said it's dynasty.
Ooh. It's not. That does matter. That does matter. Oh wow! These wide receivers are so good.
Then I'm talking Hollywood. I'm trying to trade Hollywood and just and just sell the connection with Murray and try and probably get a top, try and upgrade a tight end or running back.
I'm gonna say this real fast. I'm on Ross St. Brown. If you can get him for how he's produced so far this season, aka a top 5 or a top 10 wide receiver value, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's very talented, but I don't think he's going to end the year as a top 10 wide receiver. I'm going to go and say it. I just don't think it. So if you could get top 5 wide receivers, I'm not trying to give him away. Do not give him away. Now, and then there's Devonte Adams. I mean, your young receivers are so loaded, but are you fighting for a play? Like, you think you can win the championship this year? It looks like you can with these receivers. If you can, then I'm not trading Adams.
Yeah. The thing with Adams, if you trade, I know you're toying with trading Adams. If you want to do that, you got to get a stud. I mean, you're talking, I think you got to be talking about like Jonathan Taylor type of stud. Because Devonte Adams is going to get 160 to 180 targets this season. We saw in week 1 what it looked like. I don't know if you've got a chance to win. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be there. And plus, one of the things, if I remember correctly, I'm going to look it up real quickly. Now, I always like to look at week 17 because I always want to be thinking that I'm playing that week. And I know the Raiders have a decent matchup that week, and I'm looking it up real quickly. They're home against San Francisco, so definitely good pass rush. But the DBs, if there's anywhere that they can be beat, it's on the DBs side. So that's the thing with it's hard to trade Devonte with that target volume. Like especially if you got a chance to win.
You need to be getting a stud. You need to be getting at least a stud. And maybe it depends what you're trying to upgrade. Are you trying to get draft picks? Again, I just knowing if you're competing this year, which I think you are. If you're not competing, Adams is definitely the person to trade.
You got to be competing. She's got to be competing with.
Yeah. You're right.
With what Waddle and St. Brown did last week, I mean,
never mind.
Could have just been like nothing after that. So yes. Congratulations on your title already.
Yeah.
And again, I'm glad I'm not playing you in Scott Fishbowl, Dave. So I'm glad.
Lots of titles going around here today.
So let's talk a little bit the guys we're afuera on, and you and I agreed on DJ Moore against that New Orleans defense. What? I kind of like what your thought process on this one, because I have things to say.
It comes down to Lattimore, right? I think he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and he's known for following the number 1 receiver on the other team, and that's DJ Moore, simply put. And DJ Moore just hasn't been targeted. I'm not calling this to be DJ Moore's breakout game this year, not against the Saints and Lattimore. So he's probably starting still in a lot of fantasy lineups, but I am not expecting a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one. Baker has had a tough time kind of finding him. So that is just that's why I'm downgrading him a little bit. I think what happened was people were kind of like wishing for DJ Moore to be better instead of really expecting. It's like, this is still kind of like a work in progress offense with a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback. I think we're hopeful at some point, but yeah, against this defense, even in a home game, it's tough. You put Darrell Henderson on this one. So it's at Arizona. The Rams are at Arizona. Arizona's defense has not been anything great. Right home. You're not great, Bob.
Not great.
Not great, Yosh.
and honestly, Darrell Henderson has put up semi-respectable numbers, like where you might even like consider putting him in as your running back too. And that's why I put him in here. I don't want to start Darrell Henderson this week. I want to see the way this is trending. It's trending Cam Akers' direction. And what we've seen in Sean McVay's past, he likes to run with one running back. And he hasn't been doing that this season. I mean, it's been a split. I mean, Darrell Henderson got pretty much all the work week 1. Cam Akers got the majority of work in week 2. Now, Darrell Henderson was on the field more than Cam Akers, but I don't like to see for Darrell Henderson. I don't like to see where this trend's going. For Cam Akers, it's kind of the opposite. I do like seeing. I don't really want to start either, though. I would buy low on Cam Akers, but I don't want to start him this week. I definitely don't want to start Darrell Henderson.
I don't want to start. I actually heard somebody who sat Amon-Ra St. Brown for Darrell Henderson last week and asked, and said I wanted to start Darrell Henderson. It's like, no, you don't. This is one of the hottest receivers dating back to last season. You don't sit him especially going into a point where into a game where it was a great matchup for him. So yeah, you're not sitting at ARSB. So and Dame Overboard, you're always muchas gracias. So muchas gracias
Love you,
and
Dame.
muchas de nada. So yeah. So yeah, Daryl Henderson. I think it's starting to trend more toward Cam Akers a little bit. Another one that I think the early returns have been good on Trevor Lawrence, as we've called him on Familia FFB. We've called him Fabio Football because it's going to LA, and the Chargers they've played well in the secondary. They held Patrick Mahomes to 235 yards last week. They've done especially well against slot wide receivers. They may be getting J.C. Jackson back. I'd feel a lot better for Trevor Lawrence if this game were in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It kind of brings me back to the Mac Jones conversation. This is where I might just start Mac Jones over Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? And Trevor Lawrence has been playing much better than Mac Jones so far this season, but I am nervous for him this week for all the reasons you laid out. I'd be trying to avoid starting him if I can.
It's tough, and I've actually my second quarterback in Scott Fishbowl is between Trevor Lawrence and Mitchell Trubisky, so I'm holding my nose and starting him.
At least you have options. I had Trey Lance and Scott Fishbowl, so I digress.
Was Jimmy G available? Yeah. Oh, that one's well, yeah, of course, because everybody gets drafted in that league.
Yeah,
jeez,
yeah, he was not available. So, wait, who was my quarterback? I can't even remember. It's not good. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. I forget who it was. So what if I think about it, I'll bring it up.
Well, at least there's the super flexes available, so you could do that one.
It's Matt Ryan.
Well, the only thing that helps in that one is it's a game against Kansas City, so he's going to have to throw. So that's the only. I mean, long term we'll see, but that one's. That game they're gonna have to throw because Patrick Mahomes is gonna go ballistic. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not as worried this week, especially if Pittman plays. But yeah, again, rest of the season wise,
yeah, that one's man. All right. Last one. It's a pair of guys. They're both coming from the Packers. Oh yeah. Dame Overboard has an option for you. Let's go Trevor Siemian. So
thank you, Dame. Thank you. Or no, actually that was Mr. Scampers. Thank you, Mr. Scampers. I really appreciate the advice. I'll go check and see if he's available.
The last one is actually a pair of running backs.
Yes.
Aaron Jones came off that monster game against the Bears and AJ Dillon, but they're going up against that brick wall running game, running defense for the Buccaneers. It's a game in Tampa. I kind of feel like they're going to have to put this game into Aaron Rodgers' hands a little bit. So I think it's going to be not so good stuff for the running backs.
Yeah. I could see this going poorly a few different ways. Aaron Jones just looked so good last week. They got him involved in those quick, shovel passes that still count as a catch in PPR leagues. That's the added benefit. So I am lower on both these guys compared to consensus, but when it comes down to it, I'm starting Aaron Jones in every single league I have him in. AJ Dillon's the question. There are quite a few running backs I still put over him. I would personally start Miles Sanders over AJ Dillon. I would consider Josh Jacobs this week. This week, yes. So there are running backs out there that I would be willing to start over AJ Dillon, but he's still probably being played in most lineups as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got several teams where I went hero running back. I think it's like 2 or 3 teams, and AJ Dillon was my number 2 guy because I got him after the running back dead zone, but I'm not feeling good about starting him this week, and it's gonna be tough sledding. So on some of them, I may be looking to sit him. But you're right. I mean, the only saving grace for them could be work in the passing game, and Aaron Rodgers is dumping off more to Jones and then to Dillon. So it's gonna be a rough one. But this, mi amigo, was not rough. No, and not a rough transition to close up shop. Yeah, amigo, this has been a blast. This has been a blast from coast to coast. I honestly can't wait for Canton. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe one of these days you'll tell me, hey, I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend, and I'll be like, hey, I'm only 4 hours away. So it
That's
just
what
so
I'm
happens
talking about.
yeah. So something
Let's
like
make
that.
it happen, Jorge. Let's make it happen.
If not,
I can't wait till the next time we get to actually hang out because so much fun. So much fun.
No sleeves. Okay. Just no
Hold on.
sleeves.
Just
there you go.
Just
There you
go.
go. We'll just go right now.
Yeah.
Well, the sun's still out, and it's setting over here on the West Coast, but I know
pretty dark over here.
Out. I just first off, I just want to thank everybody in the chat, Dame, Mr. Scampers, who told us that Trevor Siemian saved him in a week. Yes, that you just picked the right week because you're just smarter. You're the smartest cat.
I'll just have him ready to go.
Oh, Craig, Albert, J Wall, also,
you guys are amazing
with the amazing thumbnail graphic. So thank you. But we're an awesome. Oh, but yeah, find them. Hey, where are they finding you now? Point them where they're finding you now.
Oh yeah. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Fewster. I love it. Send me a message. I'll answer you. Check out my videos. And you know what? Follow the 33rd team. They're a great group. You're going to be seeing a lot more things coming from me in the future. Love you guys. I really do. Thank you, Jorge, for having me on. This has been a blast. Yeah. Familia.
Yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Please make sure you're following Josh or Josh. But yes, also make sure, again, give us a like and subscribe when you go to YouTube. Please, por favor, that little thumbs up. And also, those of you who are listening to this on Apple, Google, Spotify, muchas gracias to Anchor for putting us out there. Hey, if you can, give us a little rating. Please, por favor, hopefully give us a little thumbs up there. I'll be putting out an article on familiaffb.com to kind of go with this, kind of a little more detail on that one. But again, you can find me at Jorge Martin 17, Familia FFB, everywhere else, on Apple, on Facebook, and Instagram, those places. But everybody, get ready for week 3. Send me a question if you want, a DM, a tweet, anything like that. I'll answer right away. Those of you who are in Fantasy Points, I'm on the Fantasy Points Discord, sometimes helping out subscribers, but go in there, please. Most of all, have a great time. Enjoy yourselves. Win your weekly games, unless you're playing against me. But always remember, todos somos familia. Salud.